în economia partidei. Delgado acolo este, va fi corner, dragi ascultători.
I think so. I mean, I'm already doing some game stuff on Friday. On Fridays, I've been doing odd game stuff, and we are trying to be more experimental with things, not in a sex way. And yeah, definitely, we do other stuff, other media. We're still it's all kind of coming together still, so we're not sure. But yeah, video games already. I'd like to talk about comics and stuff. It's just a case of getting everything together. And maybe finding some more people that would be interested in talking about stuff, and maybe coming up with new formats and ways to do so. So we're 100% into it. We just haven't really thought about it yet. Sorry if that's a shit answer.
Morning, guys. Duncan Casey here to answer your questions with this month's Mailbag episode. Yes. Got my second cup of Joe on the go. Yeah, I mean, Richard's done some Let's Plays. I can't really talk about it, but I have a thing coming out next year at some point that will be announced that is in those categories. So I suppose we may end up tackling them as a result. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, books is a good one. I mean, do you think if you guys would like to see us cover more books? I mean, that's probably a good idea. Yeah, maybe some books. That'd be cool. TV, yeah, we could talk more about TV. I think. You know, I've worked in TV, so maybe there's an insight there, or maybe I'll just get accused of name dropping. Whatever. I don't know. Yeah, probably. Yeah, as you know, it's early doors with this channel. You know, I mean, we've only been doing it a few months now, a couple of months, 3 months, and so, you know, we want to expand. We want to do more things and things that you guys want to see. So these are all helpful suggestions. And the great thing about YouTube is we can try them, and if they don't work or they're not received well, we can drop them. And it's not really, you know, it doesn't require us to go to great expense to do it. So it's yeah. Duly noted.
If I was going to erase a movie from existence, it's quite a tough question, really, because you only get one, and the purpose of erasing it from existence, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of frustrating when certain films just turn a whole storyline on a dime and kind of, you know, mess up a continuity or any conceptions you had about the characters and stuff like that. So I don't really know. I mean, a lazy answer would be like the 1995 Judge Dredd film or something. You know, so I'm not really sure in terms of something that's offensively bad. I mean, again, it's when they release things that just aren't finished and you expect to pay for them. That's a real bugbear of mine. So I think any of your Fantastic Fours or Suicide Squads and stuff like that are good candidates for the bang, you know. So I'm not really sure. Sorry.
It's a very good question. I don't know. Historical figure. I think. I mean, all the great ones have been done and done brilliantly, and so it would be, you know, perhaps a bit foolhardy to go, I can do better than that. There's one in particular that I don't want to give away because it's part of a thing that I've had in the back of my head that I would love to do as a biopic that is probably completely not what you're expecting, and that's why I want to keep it kind of to myself, because it's one of those things that I hope to be able to do one day, but requires me to have the clout, really, to A, pull the money in to obtain the rights, and B, you know, to get it made. And I know it's a good idea, but I don't want to put it out there because I just don't want someone else to jump on this before I get the chance to do it. So I'm not going to say. But beyond that, I suppose you look at historical figures and like politicians and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I really don't know. Beyond the one I'm thinking of, who isn't a politician or a sports person or any of that, he's dead. There's a clue. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like, well, we all wanted to be James Dean. Maybe Marlon Brando. Maybe I could play Marlon Brando in a film. What do you think?
I don't know.
Hello, Alex. Yes, I actually am planning a commentary with my friend Frank for Riccio. So we're going to record that when I go and see him in Liverpool soon. So there will be Riccio content. And actually, I would really like to get Duncan to watch it and do an It Ain't Broke about it, because it's just so bananas. I think it will melt his brain. Sorry, Duncan. So yeah, Riccio content is coming sooner than you think, probably. Hi Brett, I know you just had some more back surgery, so I hope you're good. I hope things are healing up nicely, and I hope this is helping. In regards to your questions, what movie or specific scene made you fall in love with film and why? The main film that made me realise that I wanted to make film and be in film and be interested in film was probably The Evil Dead or The Evil Dead 2, particularly because I watched it and then found out the whole story behind it, and it had that DIY aesthetic where people had just gone off and done something themselves. And Evil Dead 2 is very much that. Evil Dead 1 and 2 are very much that, and the just level. Artistically in Evil Dead 2 in particular, it's so expressionistic. Like, its camera work and everything is amazing. It's got this fantastic sense of humour. But, those first two were just made for no money, totally DIY. So, the stories about attaching a camera to a motorbike and planks of wood, and the way they just went off and lived there and got it done over a, long period of time. Also things, bad taste, Peter Jackson's film for similar reasons. I was a very ghoulish teenager who liked this sort of grim stuff. It's just people going off and doing things, and it was just the realisation that you could do this stuff yourself, and it could be kind of fun and funny and a bit crazy, and I loved that, and that's what became the kind of. That's why I started doing. It's just about that time when I had to choose which A levels to do, and I had no idea. I think they just introduced like a film studies course, because this was in like 2001 or something, and that's what made me do film studies. Really, I started watching the Evil Dead films, and I got into kind of 1970s stuff. So I started watching things like Dirty Harry and The French Connection and stuff, and that's what really turned me on to the fact that movies were more than just what was out on a Friday night at the multiplex. Not that there's anything wrong with what's out on a Friday night at the multiplex. And you've also asked about a Valverde extravaganza where we learn about all the movies that were made in our great nation. That's a really good idea. I think we should do a Valverde explainer video. I think that would be quite fun. So yeah, maybe I'll speak to Duncan about it. I think that's a good idea.
Excuse me. What movie or specific scene made you fall in love with film? For me, I remember, I have a very clear memory. I think I must have been 4 or 5, and it's my first memory of actually sitting down and seeing a film, like film on TV on our crappy, whatever it was, inch CRT TV, and sorry everyone, got interrupted by Aslan here. I think he wanted to be in the video. Say hello. Okay, you alright? You good? Alright, let me work. Yeah, I remember seeing on our TV on video, just really rubbish quality. But the first thing, I was 4 or 5, and it was Superman the movie, and I remember the Superman saving Lois scene with the helicopter and just being like. And that was it. I think that's what really cemented my love of film and woke me up to the kind of, wow, like this medium is amazing. And that would have been in like, I guess 1989 or 1990, somewhere around there. And I was just like agog at it. So yeah, that was my first, I think that's what made me fall in love with film, even though I maybe didn't realise it at the time.
I have not heard of Project 4K77, and unfortunately I haven't had time to look it up before I recorded this, because I've been doing some work this weekend, so I've just sat down in a stolen moment to do this. I have not heard of that, Oscar. I will look it up, I'm sorry. Or send me a link if you like, tweet me or Patreon or however you care to do that.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it's awesome. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I wonder what, you know, I like it in that I would have been happy for Sam Raimi. Well, I would have been happy for Sam Raimi to, but for Sam Mendes to do another one. But I mean, and that would have at least given a sort of trilogy, a kind of continuity of like aesthetic, I suppose, to the you know, to the last three Craig films. But this is cool. I mean, like Cary Fukunaga, he's someone I think, I mean, like I have a lot of respect for him for the things he's not done, if that makes sense. Like his sort of foray with the It film, and I believe he backed out of that because they just wouldn't support his vision ultimately. I believe he had some ideas of how he was going to update it for a modern setting, and they didn't want to go with it. I think they wanted to set it. I don't know if he was going with the 80s vibe, or I think they were just much more wanted to get it into that kind of Strange Things realm, and it worked. I mean, I liked the It film. I thought it was really good. Yeah, you know, obviously first season of True Detective. I haven't seen it. I watched the first episode of the second season and kind of went, not really for me. Much as I love Rachel McAdams and Vince Vaughn and all those guys. I think they're excellent, but it wasn't for me. But I really need to give it a look. But he's a director who I think has a great vision and great integrity, and you know, like you say, I think it is, you know, is probably in the same ballpark as Danny Boyle. I think he very much makes his own creative decisions and makes them for the right reasons. So yeah, I'm fascinated to see how it turns out. I don't know. It's yeah, it's a funny situation, isn't it? John McTiernan is obviously an incredible director, and it's a shame that he you know, I think he went away right at the time when he could have been doing some fascinating work. I don't know what's happened to him. I hope he's well, and I hope he can somehow make a return to directing, because that would be really cool. Hey John, why don't you come over to England? We'll make a film together. It'll be fantastic. As far as your theory goes, though, Zach, I'm yeah, maybe, I don't know.
I heard, Zachary, that this whole thing was very, very detrimental to John McTiernan's mental health, and I think he's been quite unwell and obviously unhappy ever since. And yeah, there's lots of conspiracy theories around the whole thing, and it's a massive tragedy. I mean, particularly if he didn't do anything wrong, but mainly regardless of what happened, in terms of what that means for cinema. I mean, I know he didn't do much cop towards the end of his kind of active career, but you know, he's made some of the best sort of American action cinema ever, really. I mean, obviously Die Hard and Predator, but then Extreme Prejudice and other things. So I don't know what's happened to him. I would love to see him work again. I hope if he is ever able to sort of turn things round and come back, I would all love to see it. I mean, they offered him Die Hard 4, I think, around that time, and you know, I'd love to have seen his take on that. But yeah, I don't know. Shame. Love John McTiernan. What kind of maniac wouldn't? I don't think we've talked about doing new trailer release roundup things. We used to do them before, and I'd be happy to. I'll speak to Duncan about it. We used to do that over Skype when the three of us did it. So if you'd be happy for us to do a kind of remotely based trailer review thing, I think we could do it. I will speak to my esteemed colleague about that. Regards to your question about Halloween, as much as I love John Carpenter, and I do recognise the importance and the quality of the original Halloween, I'm not the hugest fan of that series in particular. I mean, they're great and everything. I really love Halloween 3, actually, and obviously the first Halloween. Quite interested by the new one. I would quite like to go see it, which I did not do, but I would quite like to. in terms of solving its continuity and stuff, I'm really kind of not that bothered. And the way it's kind of, the treatment it's received, I think maybe this kind of hardline sequel that ignores the reboot thing is the way to go. I was, in all truth, and still am, more of a Friday the 13th fan because I always felt they were kind of conversant with their own badness, and the fact they got sillier and sillier as they went on was a massive boon to that series. I think the stupider they are, the better they are, because they didn't start off from the most interesting place, really. So when it's like Jason Takes Manhattan in particular, and Jason X, Freddy vs. Jason, I really, really love. So that's, you know, my 2 cents on the kind of masked stalk and slash thing.
Gosh. Okay, so first questions first. Do we plan on doing trailer discussions? Yeah, possibly. Yeah. These are all things, along with commentaries and all the other stuff we used to do. These are things that Rich and I discuss from time to time, and they are things we want to do. We wanted to get the baseline of shows and content going, and also sort of experiment maybe with what we could do within that, and the kind of new content we could add. But we certainly are thinking of doing that kind of thing as well. And trailer discussions are nice and easy to stick together. So watch this space. As far as Halloween, I'm a big fan of Halloween, the original Halloween, but it's about the only one I've seen. I haven't really watched the Rob Zombie ones or really any of the sequels. I think I've seen bits of them, but I've never really given them my full attention. This one, by all accounts, seems to be very good and seems to have gone down quite well. Certainly looks quite cool. I think, look, I mean, if it's successful, they'll probably try and push a sequel. I don't know how it ends because I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure if there's room for that. Probably. I don't care in a way, you know. It's a franchise that has spawned so many different things that at this point it could be a nice bookend to the sort of Jamie Lee Curtis verse, if you like. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's cool. I think they should do whatever. So thanks for your question, Mike. That's a really good question. What movies lend themselves to video games? It's funny because, you know, we often talk about it on the channel about, you know, how it's movies of video games are a problem because it's the medium. You know, video games are very much influenced by film, and then sort of trying to translate effectively a medium that's influenced by a medium back into that medium, if that makes sense, very rarely works. So something that generally gets lost in translation there. So I don't know that, but I think going the other way round and turning movies into video games can be very good. The trouble is the business model around that is always about licensing, and it's usually superhero movies, isn't it? Or it was for a long time anyway. And then it was all about licenses and then rushing games out to meet a film release schedule. So I think if they made, I think some of the most successful adaptations in that arena have been ones that have just been made way after the fact. I mean, GoldenEye came out, I think the N64 game came around in 97, didn't it? It was around about when Tomorrow Never Dies came out. And no one cared. I mean, I don't think anyone was like, what? This isn't the current film? Oh my God. So I don't know. I think as far as a film, I think it would be cool to see. I mean, they did do Die Hard games. Die Hard trilogy was very good, but something like that, maybe like Under Siege. Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, I know it's a Die Hard clone, but maybe if they did the Under Siege game, if you did a proper like detailed frigate that's your environment and you've got to get around it and just thwart the terrorists, that might be quite cool, or something like that. Or Under Siege 2 Dark Territory, of course. Cool. Thanks for all your questions this month, guys. We really enjoy receiving them and answering them. We look forward to next month's mailbag, or this month's mailbag, because it's November now. I hope you're all keeping warm, wrapped up, and yeah, see you soon.